Happy Wednesday morning and welcome to Coding with Jess. Good to see you guys again. Thanks for, we're going to dive back into a Coding with Jess session here in just a second. But in case this is your first time, my name is Jess Martin. I'm a software developer who's been doing software for a long time. And a Coding with Jess session is where you're going to code along with me while I build a thing. We'll work in 4 25-minute Pomodoros. So I'll start a 25-minute timer. We'll work for 25 minutes, have a 5-minute break in between, which means that this total work session will be right around 2 hours. And you can expect to have like a 5-minute break to stretch your legs and that kind of stuff. If you want to engage with me in the chat, I do watch the YouTube chat over here. So there's a little bit of a delay and that kind of stuff. So it might be a second before I notice it and that kind of stuff. But I will be engaging with that throughout the stream. And yeah, so let's get right into it. What are we working on today? So today is part 3 of working on a decentralized blogging tool. So the last couple of weeks, if you look back at last week's stream 1 week ago, or the stream 2 weeks ago on Wednesday, we started building this little tool for a decentralized blog. And we're using a particular library called WebNative, which is by a company called Fission. And WebNative is a wrapper around a couple of different decentralized technologies and protocols that make it a lot easier to work with those, give it like a nice developer experience around those. One of those would be IPFS, which is the Interplanetary File System, where we can store in a decentralized manner files. And so there's that's one of the things it wraps. The other thing it wraps is called UCAN, which is an authentication framework. So pretty fun little library. We've been experimenting with that over the last couple of weeks to build a decentralized blogging tool. And I've talked a little bit about the architecture of that tool, which we'll switch over here to the whiteboard real quick and I'll map out one more time for you. The architecture of the tool is there's a little front end. And since we've done this the last couple of weeks, for those of you who have been around, I'm not going to spend too much time on this piece. There's a little front end that allows us to write, publish Markdown files, a Markdown version of a post. So this would be like the post title, the post body, and then write those to IPFS. Again, this is very rough and quick diagram to kind of help us figure out what we're going to work on today. Then there's the generator piece. The generator reads the Markdown files and it outputs HTML, CSS to actually have the blog. So this is kind of like a static site generator. Not kind of like, it is a static site generator. And the other thing that's important to note about the way that we've been building this so far is we've been building this in sort of vanilla TypeScript in order to really understand the WebNative library more directly instead of working on it through a framework. So we may at some point, in fact, we will at some point port, if this turns out to be useful, we'll port Mumbler and possibly even the static site generator piece to a framework that would be more amenable to like a blog. Like maybe we'll use Gatsby for this, maybe we'll use Svelte for this little front end, like different frameworks there. But I wanted to not have the complication of working with a framework, but just be able to kind of experience the WebNative library directly, which we have been doing. And we've been experiencing the underlying things underneath WebNative, which has been IPFS and some of the wrinkles around that. So last week, to kind of get you up to speed on where we are today, last week we focused on metadata, which is how are we going to store the information about each post, not the content of the post, but the about the post thing. We ran into some bundler / library problems that were inconsistencies between the way that we are using TypeScript and sort of Node ES module support and that kind of stuff. Typical like linking, if you know the term linking hell, that's a term from like the late 90s and early 2000s in terms of the same problem that recurs in all of software, which is like, how are you going to link libraries together when you want to execute them? Anyway, we ran into that last time and made it through to the point where we now have the static site generator is generating the posts in the appropriate order. We are parsing the metadata to get the posted date and then populating the page with it. It's really rough. So it works in the sense that it's ugly, like the code's ugly, and it's on the page, and so we know where. And the posts are actually sorted in order. So I think what we'll start with today is maybe just doing some code cleanup over here of the static site generator that reads the metadata, because all we did last week is get it working, and I have not spent any time on it since we worked on it last Wednesday. And then once we get that code cleaned up, I think we'll switch over here to Mumbler and add the functionality to Mumbler to be able to customize the posted at date, basically to write the metadata from Mumbler. And yeah, we'll go from there. We're very close to the point where we could actually deploy this. I actually have this part is deployed to mumbler.netlify.app. So you can actually go to this website. It already exists, but we need to deploy the client side as well somewhere. So we're close to like a working version that we could actually use. So that is the plan for today. Let me switch over here and talk about that. So just to, this was last week's goal. I like to have like a quick goal to discuss or to like focus my time so that I can just like punch through it. So we want to clean up the code in Mumbler generator. And one of the things that I know we have to do about that is we need to ignore the metadata when populating the body of the post. So we're going to have to like strip it off or something. We were hoping to, one of the things we tried to do last time was replace the current Markdown generator with a Markdown generator that's aware of YAML front matter in the way that we chose to do the metadata. Unfortunately, that little switcheroo was not as easy as we thought it was going to be due to library ES modules weirdness. So we want to clean up the code in Mumbler generator, ignore the metadata, and then we will also add the ability to Mumbler to write YAML front matter, at least the metadata posted at date. And technically we could, thinking about this, we could actually already do this in the sense that it's just we want, yeah, we could do this in an unstructured way. But anyway, okay, let's dive in. Start with cleaning up the code in Mumbler generator. I'm going to open my Pomodoro app, Tomato 2, by the fine Wojto Rynek. And we'll get started on our first 25-minute session here and take a 5-minute break at the end of that. So I mentioned that that I haven't done much work on this since last week, and you'll see what I mean by that. I did not even commit. So we got things working right at the end of last week. I had to run off to another meeting immediately after that, and then yeah, it's amazing that it's now Wednesday again. Here we are, and I haven't done hardly anything on this. Normally I would do a little bit of work between sessions and kind of clean things up, but today, nothing. All right, so what's going on? Where were we? Well, a couple things. We had tried to use micromark and ran into bundler issues, so we reverted back to the marked library that in order to do the markdown parsing. Unfortunately, marked is not aware of metadata, YAML front matter metadata. So we'll leave that in there for now. We also were looking at potentially using a different parser for creating the HTML and CSS. It turns out that basically it'd be nice to have some sort of DOM library that allows us to construct the DOM systematically, as opposed to like constructing it by hand using strings. Pretty error prone. And we pulled in JSDOM. JSDOM is pretty heavy, and we looked at using linked DOM to do that. Ran into some of the same bundler issues there. And then finally, we were since we couldn't use micromark, we need a separate library that supports front matter parsing, the metadata support. So we pulled in this library to do that. I'm gonna go ahead and delete this micromark. And my goal here right now, at this very moment, is to get to a point where we can commit. so I don't want to commit this mess. So what we did here is we changed the structure to iterate over the files and push them onto a list of files. And then we ran a sort. This was a pretty interesting moment in the last stream where GitHub Copilot wrote almost all of this function, including the comment, which was pretty wild. And so I've had it write stuff based on comments, but I haven't had it like guess what the next thing I want to do is and add that as a comment and then actually execute or actually write the code that goes along with the comment. Pretty wild. Okay, so but anyway, we have a couple of, yes. So in order to clean this up, I'm glad I left some to-dos in here. This is why you should use to-dos when you're writing stuff. There are some cases that will cause this to crash. So in the case of empty front matter, there isn't any in the thing. This will fail. The other case is this will fail in the case of there is front matter, but there's no posted at attribute. One of the things we also talked about, I'm just going to add it as a to-do here for a second. Change posted at to posted at, because JavaScript. It's kind of ugly the way I was doing it using sort of Ruby style because, yeah, anyway, no reason to do that now that since we're going to be bringing that through into this code. All right, so once we have these blog posts sorted in this array up here, this array of strings, we then print it out. And then here's where the problem happens for where we, so this is the to-do here. Can't easily embed a to-do there because it's in the middle of a JavaScript or an HTML partial. What we're going to do here is not handle MD front matter, Copilot. We're going to ignore the front matter or strip it off or something. Pretty easy to identify front matter. It's going to be like 2 dashes at the beginning, at above and below the front matter. That's kind of like the YAML front matter convention. So we'll need to find that and strip it off. So there's a couple things we need to do before we can clean this up. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm noticing that there's a lot going on in sort of the changes that we're making right now. I don't want to diff the package. Did I make any changes to package JSON? Looks like we deleted marked and went back to marked and added front matter. Okay, so that's legit. What I'm going to go ahead and do is check out a branch here, and we're going to call this order by post date. And that way we can use GitHub's delightful, we can check in some interim commits here and then use GitHub's pull request review feature for ourselves as we're bringing all this stuff into to the main branch. And also right now with Mumbler, mumbler.netlify.app, which I mentioned over here on the whiteboard, is actually up and running. This gets updated by Netlify every time we push a new post out. And so, or every time we push a new version, every time we push a new commit, Netlify automatically builds and updates Mumbler. And so new commits on main will cause that to happen instantaneously. We don't want that to happen every single time. We're doing these in progress commits. So this is like work in progress, got sorting working, but it ugly. And so there's a lot of other little changes that we're going to need to make here. So I am going to do this work on a branch instead, so we can do some like interim commits along the way. All right, we are now in a clean state. What order do we want to tackle these things in? There's a lot of little things that we need to do here. So let's see. One of the things that I want to do is that I'm going to want to do eventually is reorganize this code into functions that, so it's not all in one giant function. So some things like, gather markdown files or something like that, sort markdown files, we could like pull these out into functions that we could then independently write some tests around. That would be helpful to have some unit tests around this stuff. But right now I'm going to focus on a couple of the cleanup items. Here's an easy one to kind of get us started for the day. Let's change the posted at date. Drive.fission.codes. For those of you who haven't seen Fission Drive, pretty handy little debugging tool if you're working with web native applications, because it shows you the, it shows, oh, it looks like it's 3 dashes. That's interesting. I thought that's the YAML frontmatter convention. Well, we'll look at that in a minute. Anyway, this is a pretty helpful convention, or like little tool, because it shows you the web native file system that has been created on behalf of the user, and you can come in and inspect the files, and you can even edit things like text files and that kind of stuff. So what I want to do here is come in, edit that, make it posted at. Again, this is a minor thing, but I think following casing conventions so that you're not surprised by the casing when you grab something is actually pretty important. So we are going to do that right now. Change posted at. So let's do a quick find and replace. What? I thought that would do it globally. Oh, whoop, whoop. There we go. Okay. Whoops. Make sure I got everything posted at. Huh. It doesn't want to do a global replace. You might notice down here at the bottom of my screen, all right. I think I'm doing this right. Global replace. Oh, is it percent? In all lines, yeah. It's not /g at the end. It is %s. There we go. Okay. Now, looks like I already had a change posted at there. Okay, our to-do from the last session. We'll go ahead and remove that. So that was a cool, or a nice little thing to get started there. Got that done. The other thing we can do, let's go ahead and start the server, or like run the code. I think it's npm run default. And then we'll do a cd into the public directory, npx serve. Oh, ha ha ha. We're going to get bit by the SID problem. To do figure out how to get a SID from a stable name. That's another thing. So we talked about this a little bit last time, in that each folder has a content ID, which is like the address of that folder associated with it. Can't read properties of undefined. Oh, yeah. And this is exactly the problem we're going to run into because we haven't changed the SID. So each folder in IPFS has a content address that it refers to it. When you change any of the content in the folder, it actually changes the content address of the folder. So this is actually pointing at the old version. So even though we went in and changed all of the files in this folder here, I'll show you, public posts, we changed these files. We didn't change the folder, but if you change any of the files or folders within that, then the SID changes as well. And the cool thing is that gives you like versioning built in. The bad thing is that you have to figure out a way to have a stable name to refer to things. So I'm going to copy paste in the new SID. We're going to run this again, and it should work. Let's see, starting IPFS. So what that's actually doing is starting my local IPFS node that's running locally, and then grabbing the files from IPFS. Hopefully this will work. And then we'll parse them And then this little failure is something we're going to fix later anyway, which is this one. It's the failure when the posted at date or the posted at attribute is nil. We need to not fail on that. It would be a bad deal. Let's not do that. Start an IPFS. There we go. Boom. Posted. All finished. Sweet. So now we have npsx serve. Let's say yes. Localhost 5000. We can go check it out. Woo! All right. 424.44. There we go. Now, like we talked about already, the posted at YAML front matter is still visible, which is not what we want. So let's go take those. Let's take that sucker out. All right. And then we can handle the empty. Okay. Maybe this would be a great time to write a test actually, but I haven't set up testing in a TypeScript node application before. So I think I'm going to leave the testing. Actually going to make a note to do tests for this. I'm going to get some help setting up the testing framework for this, and so that we don't have to watch me struggle through figuring out how to set up a test harness around a TypeScript node application. Once we have that test harness up and running, then I can write and run some of those unit tests in future live streams. So what we'll do for now is we'll just fix this in the way that we know it needs to be fixed. So this sort method, how do we want to handle this? So let's think about this casing, or the cases here. If a Markdown file does not have front matter at all, and the other Markdown file does have front matter, how should we handle that? Basically, we have two options here. One, we can either have that front matter or that post be at the very beginning or the very end. We have to, because this is a sort function, so we have to sort it either way. So also, I don't know exactly how this will. We're going to do some live testing, integration testing to figure out how this library responds, but I'm not sure how the front matter library responds when it is fed a Markdown post with no front matter in it. Like, does it throw an exception that we need to catch, or what's the appropriate way to wrap this call in such a way that it doesn't blow up our code? Let's see, what library is this called that we're using? Package JSON, open that up, go to, it is called front-matter. Front-matter, I think this is the one. Yep, this is it. All right, as of blah, 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 starting separator on the first line. Yeah, it does have 3 dashes here. Okay, that's fine. You end up with an object like this. Return a content object. So here's the method that we're calling. Doesn't say what it does. If that, well, we can find out very quickly how it works. Posts, a post we want to publish, we will remove the metadata from it, and then we'll now remember we have to replace the SID, copy the SID, because the folder has changed, which means the content has changed. So let's see what this failure looks like, and then actually scroll up real quick. Yeah, that's the second failure we want to fix. So we want to remember this failure, which is a type error, cannot read properties of undefined. Interesting. Okay. All right, so let's run this again. We should see an error on line 34 or 35, depending on which initialization is happening there, whether it's getting passed in as A or B. Come on. I wonder if there's a faster way to handle local IPFS testing. Because every time having to boot up the IPFS node and run this. It's like pretty slow. Pretty slow. All right, here we go. Handle empty front matter. Yep. Cannot read properties with undefined. And it's in, wait, what? Okay. How can it fail on a, that's a very odd error. It says it's failing on line 33, and I'm pretty sure that that has to be some kind of mistake because that's a comment. And so that it's almost certainly failing on the next line, which is the parsing of the front matter from FM8. So do we want to say, is the problem here that this, I think this is like a TypeScript problem that says you can't have an undefined thing. In other words, this variable const AFM does not allow, or is not allowed to be assigned to undefined. In other words, it's not typed to be assigned to undefined. So then what's happening, what must be happening here is that parsing the front matter is returning undefined when there isn't any. So what we could do then is set this up this way. If, how do we want to do this? I don't really want to parse it twice. Interesting. All right, let me write out what we want to do here. If front matter for A is empty, should be sorted after B. Yeah, but we need A front matter to be typed to. No, this will fail if it is defined, so that doesn't work either. Interesting. This is like a weird side effect, or I'm not sure how to handle this in a typed way, because it'll either, and this I guess is a reason that the front matter library is as it is, but it'll either return undefined or it will return a JSON array, like an object. And so if, I guess we want that undefined, then we will return how do if works? If that, then return -1. And then that should handle the case where either one are. Okay, so if we know, okay, yep. So that should account for that error. Let's run it again. Okay, so IPFS will be starting up for a second here. So now what we're doing is, yeah, and then we only get down to these assignments if these things are not undefined. And so that should mean that we don't have type errors on these lines. Now we're still going to have a problem here. So our next failure should actually be on line 46, because we're going to get a, oh, did I make the change? I'm trying to remember. Did I remove? No, I haven't. So we actually expect this to work then. This should straight up work with the, oh, handle empty front matter. So is FMA not undefined at that point? We did this, return 1, return -1. Cannot read properties. Interesting. The reading of two locale string looks really weird. I'm gonna Google this real quick, see if I'm missing something obvious. Const example equals undefined. Instead, you can provide a callback to the value before calling the locale string. What? The weird thing is that it's continuing to point to line 33, which is a comment. And then, huh. I'm not seeing anything else in this stack trace here that would indicate that it's happening in another file. I would have expected the library to fail, or here, we'll do something really dumb and naive. Got to here. And rerun that while we're reading. So IPFS takes a second to boot. We can read through this. This doesn't look like this is helpful. I'm not sure if this is. Check if the value is truthy before. That's exactly what I just said, or did. We checked. Well, we checked for triple equal undefined. So we could go with truthy instead, which is, I think, a broader check than checking for undefined. All right, let's see. Come on. This IPFS startup time is really annoying. We're going to have to see if we can get rid of that. Yep, I'm doing what you say and it ain't working. Also, my computer seems to be chugging a little bit. Kernel task is firing up. That means my computer is running hot. Running hot. It's weird. All right. See if it's run yet. One of the interesting things about starting an IPFS node locally while this thing is starting is that it will actually start that node and start doing IPFS interactions. So it will start syncing files locally and start uploading those locally, like you're actually running a node on the IPFS ecosystem here, which is kind of crazy. All right. Yeah, so this is just a complete bogus error here. This handle empty front matter, because it's actually printing got to here, which is exactly what we'd expect. 5-minute break. Okay, this is a good moment for a 5-minute break. I'm gonna walk outside and think about this problem. We'll be back in 5 minutes. So this is Pomodoro 1 of our 4 Pomodoros we'll be doing today. And yeah, we'll come back and see if we can figure out this problem in a few minutes. See y'all in 5 minutes. Well, hello and welcome back to Coding with Jess. We're about to start our second Pomodoro. In our first Pomodoro, we were working on fixing the front matter reading in our Mumbler blog here, and now we're gonna continue working on that. So what we've run into here is frustrating, to say the least. So we're trying to solve the problem of a Markdown file has an empty front matter. The library that we're using to parse that front matter, this front-matter JSON or JavaScript library, when it parses the library, it either returns undefined or a front matter result type. Unfortunately, it looks like this library is not compatible with TypeScript in some weird way that I don't completely understand. I did a little bit of digging on the break because I was annoyed by this and didn't really take my Pomodoro break the way I should have. But anyway, I wanted to figure this out. And so on the Pomodoro break, instead of walking around outside, I went and did some quick Googling. Turns out that there is an open PR on the front matter repository for fixing type exports. So the problem is I can't accurately type the result here of this FM call in order to check to see if it's undefined or not. And it seems like returning undefined is the expected behavior when there is no front matter. But I can't check on that in TypeScript unless I type it, is my rough understanding of this. And so not being able to, and so the fact that this doesn't export its types correctly means that I can't import the type correctly and then have a thing that can be typed as either this or this, which then allows me to check on it. So anyway, I'm backed into a corner here of I can't actually do the thing I need to do. So I am going to punt on solving this problem for now and speak to one of my colleagues later today who's more of a TypeScript expert and see what the right solution is here, rather than putting you guys through me reading a bunch of guides on the way that TypeScript handles searching for undefined. While that can be intriguing to get to learn something together, I have lots of other tasks that I could take on today other than this, and I'm going to save this for later. Alrighty, actually, let's make a couple of notes while we're thinking about it. Let's go over to Mumbler development and make a few notes from today. So one is, it would be nice to have a test harness set up to extract functionality and write unit tests around them. Other thing that we've been noticing was IPFS startup time is long. It would be nice to have a faster startup time or take advantage of an IPS node that's already running. Essentially want to be able to execute the script faster. Fortunately, some of my colleagues at Fission have done a ton of work on IPFS nodes running locally, running on servers, taking advantage of this, so we should be able to come up with a solution here for the script more quickly. And then finally, and actually it might be, maybe we should not start up an IPFS node in order to grab files, but instead use an IPFS gateway, which is something I've been learning about over the last couple weeks. That might be the better approach. And then the last thing we were just talking about was figure out how to check for undefined with the front matter library when it fails to find or when it attempts to parse a Markdown file that doesn't have front matter. Cool. So a couple things to just notes that things I can follow up with after this session. So what's another thing that we could fix right now? So right now what we're going to do is make sure that all of our Markdown files actually have front matter, and that will have to be the solution. I can't believe that doing something as simple as nil checking is so complicated, but it, you know, JavaScript, TypeScript, libraries, things, and also, like, frankly, it's on me. I don't know TypeScript that well, and I chose that language in order to learn more about it. So I'm sure there's a good reason for why that seems to be harder than it is. And I'll learn that reason shortly. So another thing we could be working on right now is handling empty posted at attributes. That should be a simpler check. Right now we've got, we'll basically take this if statement here and paste it right here. Basically want to do exactly what we were doing above, and so we'll say if afm.attributes.postedAt triple equals undefined, then return 1. I'll set that postedAt triple equals undefined, return -1, and then finally return this. So hopefully this will allow us to bail on the case where there's no postedAt and appropriately sort to the end. Let's see, so we need to go back and add a postedAt date to this particular file. We're going to need to update the SID once we're done with that. So let's make this the 4th, which was my 40th birthday by chance. All right, so there we got those 3. We need to go back 1 directory, grab the SID. Whoops, go back 1 directory here, copy the SID, and paste that in here. Make sure I did that right. I think I might have yanked it to my clipboard accidentally. Paste. All right, there we go. Alrighty, so now, oh wait, we just wanted to test what we just implemented. So we want to remove the postedAt date for one of these things. I guess we'll remove that one. And we'll add a different, just in case the front matter library also returns just in case it also returns undefined when there are no attributes in the front matter, even though the front matter exists. I'll add just a bogus attribute to this. All right, so now again, what we are testing is what we're testing is we have a empty postedAt attribute on one of our posts, and it should get sorted to the bottom. Oh, you know what's going to fail though? Just thought about this. This is going to fail too. You know, it occurs to me that maybe we should like just entirely eject posts or reject posts that don't have postedAt dates. It's like, you're improperly formatted, you're out of here. That could be a way of handling this, because the problem we're going to run into is this is the part that generates the HTML, the partial, and you'll note that postedAt date is an important attribute there for generating it. So, shnikes. Oh, it looks like we reparse it as well. FM Markdown file. That might be a better way to handle it. So we ignore files that don't have front matter. Ignore files that don't have postedAt. It's like, look, if you don't have those things, you're improperly formatted. And so we're going to like take those out of the list of Markdown files and then, yeah, sort the rest. That seems like a lot smarter than overloading this sort function. It's like, look, the sort function should only sort things that are sortable. and let's take out the things that are not sortable from the very beginning. Cool. All right, let's do that. So we're going to do that up here. So in order to do that, files don't have a posted at, we actually do need to parse these things. And then how will we can actually do it inside the for loop right here. Read IPFS content, yeah. So what we'll do a front matter equals FM content, oops, const. And then if content front matter dot attributes dot posted at triple equals undefined, then we might need to use a type declaration there too. I'm not exactly sure. It's interesting. Oops. Delete that. Ignore files that don't have posted at. Right now we can't actually ignore files that don't have front matter because we don't know how to check for undefined front matter, which is like super duper annoying. Oh goodness, we'll learn. We'll learn us some goodness. Yes, continue. That's exactly what we want to do. So if the posted at's undefined, then continue. Don't put it into Markdown files, and that should do it. Let's see. So npm run default. Go IPFS. Starting. Yeah, definitely need to get the loop around running, like a complete testing loop here, getting that faster is going to be super important. Because this is slow. This is slow. Especially if we have a, hey, what do you know? Look, we've got 2 posts here, and wait, or do we have 3? No, 424. That's right, and 404. That's right. Great. So now we are properly excluding posts that don't have the appropriate posted at. Okay, so now our sort remains simple and works. Yeah, leave that in there for now. So we've gotten one thing taken care of, which is worrying about that fail case when things don't exist. Let's go check out. Okay, so now we need to strip off the front matter at the beginning of the string. All right, let's do that. Let's see, we could do this with using by using substrings and saying that we're going to take all of the string from the second. So yeah, we get this case where the file kind of looks like this, dash 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 something something, which is actually posted at dash dash dash, and then some stuff. And so whenever there's front matter, we expect there to be 2 dash dash dashes, the first one and the second one, at the beginning of the line. And then we want to take everything after this character, basically, like all the rest of the stuff. So we could use like a substring, like I was mentioning, but we want the second result of that, which I think, let's go with JavaScript, string mdn, look at the let's see, look at the substring deprecated. What was it replaced with? Slice changes it in place. No, great, does not. Returns it as a new string. Wonderful. So yeah, we can use slice, but we'll also need to use like a substring search. Char at ends with, there's index of, but can we get the second occurrence of that string? Method returns the index of the first occurrence. So we could get interesting. So we could call this once to get the first occurrence, although the first occurrence should be the very first line. It should be dash dash dash. And so we could say the first occurrence that occurs after the fourth character. Yeah, let's play around with this a little bit. One of the things I love about JavaScript here is we could pull up the inspector, or we could try to pull up the inspector. Hello, inspect. Huh. Interesting. I wonder if the inspector is disabled on that website. Oh no, looks like things are just going super slow. I wonder if the IPFS node is still running. Yeah, look how long it's taken for activity monitor to populate. Yeah, kernel task is like freaking out again. Yeah, so it looks like OBS is taking considerably more resources than it normally takes, which is not great. It's taking about 50-60% of my CPU. And I think that's the main thing, although kernel task is also being a pain. Kernel task, yeah. So I'm gonna have to do some tuning of this particular setup. This is a crazy fast machine here. It should not be struggling so much to output the stream. I did just install a new version of OBS recently, or like this morning. That probably was a mistake to do the upgrade without trying it out. Want this kind of stuff to be stable. If you, if you look at the machine, this is a 64 gig, 8 core i9. So yeah, it's a couple years old, but has some serious horsepower. Should not be lagging like this. All right, well, not a lot you can do about that right now. So let's see, back over here to what we were planning on doing was testing out this index of thing. So let's see, we had a string here that had, make this a little bigger, const string that has dash dash dash, new line, and posted at and a new line, and then another dash dash dash, another new line, and then some post title, and another new line, and some text. All right, so string is that. I wonder if those new lines are being interpreted correctly. Yeah, it doesn't seem to matter. That's just interpolated. Okay, so cool. So now we got our string, which is what if you parsed a Markdown file you'd have, and so we would want to do string.index of, and we're looking for dash 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 after the fourth character, and it's going to return 25. Cool. So that'll give us that dash dash dash, and then we can do a slice. Boy, I should have used a different variable name than string. We could do a slice from that to the end. I think it looks like that. What I want to do, +3, I think. There we go. Man, I love the way it shows. Oh, actually, we'd want to do +5 because I don't want the new line at the beginning either. And Ruby has this thing called strip, which will strip off new lines at the beginning and end. I don't think JavaScript has that. And that's fine. I think we can manually do this. All right. There's the magic. So let's see. Markdown file .toString is our thing. And we'll want to do we'll say body our content string equals that. And then we can grab this. Change that to content string. Content string. All right, doing it well. Let's see. Removing all that stuff. Fission drive. All right, see if that worked. Got about 2 minutes left here. Hopefully this works to strip off the front matter. It looks like now it's back up in the 40%. Oh my goodness. I've been doing this whole time pointing at the whiteboard. Ah! Sorry, y'all. Here's back to the code that I was discussing that whole time. I don't know how long the whiteboard cam has been up there. But, oh, interesting. My CPU usage immediately dropped to like 20%. So it could be something about that whiteboard cam that's causing problems. Okay, well, that gives me something to look into. But that also means that I've been pointing you guys at the whiteboard cam instead of at the actual code for quite a few minutes. Whoops, sorry if you're watching this stream later. Was doing coding while you guys are looking at the whiteboard. Hey, what do you know? It looks like this might have worked. I don't see any front matter. Let's go over to localhost 5000. It should be still serving up the most recent stuff. Yes, it's working. It's working. So great. So great. Okay, cool. So now we have appropriately stripped off the front matter. I can remove that to do. Let me do a quick commit over here. What's the diff on index.html? Oh, that's in public. Let's do this. Interesting. Do we want to check in the contents of public? I would think that we'd want to like have those be automatically generated but not checked in. What all's in public? Just the CSS and HTML. I think it's just index.html that we're going to expect to be overwritten by the parser. So index.html, well, I'm a little confused now. Did I parse index.html as the, let's see. Yeah. So what changed? Oh, it looks like I'm just reading it each time and then overwriting it. Which, yeah, I guess, okay. Huh. All right. Well, we're on our 5-minute break. We have successfully ignored the metadata at the beginning of the post. We'll come back and do a few more minutes of, or 2 more Pomodoros remaining. I'll be back in 5 minutes. See y'all. All right, hello and welcome back. We are halfway through our pairing session for today, working on Mumbler. 2 Pomodoros behind us, 2 Pomodoros ahead of us. So we'll be working on this for about another hour. Let's go ahead and start our next 25-minute timer. In the last section, we got Mumbler ignoring the metadata appropriately. So this is kind of what we have so far. We can show our posts over here in Drive Fission codes. Public posts, got 3 of them over here. One of the posts does not have a posted at date, so it gets ignored. And then we have our posts being read with posted at date and then sorted by earliest post, or the most recent post is sorted to the top. So that's kind of the whole deal right now. We'll need to, let's go ahead and clean up this date formatting here so that this looks okay and that we don't have these bogus links. We'll eventually make these things links, similar to the way that Linus's stream works, where you can direct link to a post. Hyperlink maximalism. Man, I love Linus's stuff. All right, so we are over here in here's our little partial here. So let's go ahead and remove the link. Yeah. I'm just going to leave the link for now and just turn it into a link to this page thing. The one thing I do want to remove is the clock stamp. We don't actually need the clock stamp right now. Let's go remove that manually from the index.html and make sure that it looks okay. All right, refresh over here. Yep, not bad. We could move everything over a little bit. I wonder how easy that would be on the CSS. Let's see. How are these indented? Let's go, whoa. Elements, go to the computed layout here. Walk up to, yes, updated, has a, looks like a width of 134. So we could bring that in a little bit. May bring the clock stamp back. Yeah, don't think about it. For right now, we could bring this into like 100 pixels, and that would be probably a nice change. Let's go over to the CSS. 34, I think was what it was. So we'll move this back once we add the clock stamp back. And then over here, what we'll do instead of removing it is we will comment it out. Good old HTML comments. So I do like the overall structure he's going for here. The other thing is I think that the style is based on it being an A tag. Here we go, update. Maybe, I don't know. Okay, so go do a quick commit here, add public, change the over a bit and hide the clock stamp. That, and then the last thing is add source, ignore the markdown, or sorry, the front matter when parsing markdown. Okay, we're doing that. The other change, I guess, that we made that I didn't note in the comments is we now appropriately ignore Markdown posts that do not have front matter. Okay, cool. This is working pretty well. Let's see what other to-dos do we have. So we still haven't figured out how to get a SID from a stable name. I'm going to ask my colleague about that instead of searching for that. I'm going to make that a note here. Things to ask about. How can I get a stable name for a directory and look up the content by that? All right, cool. We'll come back to that. Let's see what other to-dos do we have. Write tests. We already have something written down about that. Okay, cool. So we, at the beginning of this session, we wanted to clean up the code in Mumbler generator. It's a little cleaner, but the main thing we needed to do was ignore the metadata, which we've done, and a couple of other ignore some things, make some things a little bit more resilient. And the code is cleaner than it was. And before I clean up the code and restructure it entirely, I'm going to want to have that unit test harness in place so that I could write some high-level unit tests around this code and then have those pass. The red-green refactor loop will be really helpful in making sure that I don't break anything as I'm moving it around. So we'll come back to that, like a more extreme code cleanup. Now here's the fun thing. We are halfway through our Pomodoros, or halfway through our working session, and we have done half of the things we wanted to do. So the other ability that we needed to add is have the Mumbler thing, which I haven't worked on in a couple weeks, be able to write posted at dates. So let's go do that now. Let's see, if there's no other changes here, then we can go ahead and, oh man. Huh, I don't have hub installed on here. That's okay, we'll just do it this way. Mumbler. And click here, compare and pull request. Order posts by date. Use YAML front matter to specify the post's date, display, sort the most recent posts to the top, and display the date in the sidebar. I think that's mainly it. Let's go take a look at other changes in this. Oh, there's still some stuff in our package JSON that we want to get rid of. Let's do that. Let's see. We want to drop micromark because we're not actually using it. And do an npm. I think that'll, yep. Turns out we're not using that. Great, there's that. And then, yeah, we made that change to make things look nicer. This is the change to index.html. That's the generated JavaScript, which I don't think we're using either. Let me see. We are still using tsnode to execute, which executes the TypeScript directly, compiles and executes the TypeScript directly. So we do not need this main.javascript. Delete. Trash. I'll probably want to do a git remove here. Source / main.js. So some of the cruft from last time when we were experimenting with different ways of executing the JavaScript after compilation. So this is remove compiled JavaScript, execute TS directly, and a lot to change here. Let me just go ahead and create the pull request and we can work off the change view here. We did have to add frontmatter, and looks like the version of marked got bumped, which is fine. One thing I just noticed is we have a template.js, and this is the way I thought I was doing it, template.html. And I want to populate that template.html and save it as index.html, which I think that means that index should be ignored. But it looks like I'm not reading. No, I am reading it. Okay. Call me crazy. Ah, okay, yes, and I'm writing here. Yes, so I think we're gonna do a quick git ignore of let's see, so git git ignore. We're gonna ignore public/index.html. And that means git add dot ignore generated HTML. And finally, I can't remember if I need to do a git rm of index.html or if like the last version exists there. All right, well, now what we'll do is we'll go over here to this PR, fresh changes. I think we also need to do a git rm of public index.html. Remove index, remove generated HTML. It should give me a refresh. Go ahead and do that. All right, now we only have a couple of files changed. Got that to do, item to do. Got the code around ordering Markdown files appropriately. No, this all looks good. Okay, so then jump back over to code here. Oh, sorry, not code. Two-level navigation killed me again. All right, so here it is. The deploy preview is processing, and it looks like it's ready. So let's go to details. Yeah, everything looks good. Cool. So that. So many. Ship it. All right. Comment. We'll go ahead and merge this pull request in, which will cause mumbler.netlify.app to update. Delete that branch. And then we can come over here and move back to main, prune that, and we're in a different code base now. Beauty of decentralized applications, right? All right, so here we are in Mumbler, which is our front end, and let me see if I remember how to run this. I think it's running using byte, so it's like npm run dev. Okay, yeah, that's it. So let's run this. Stop that. Close out that one. All right, byte says we're up and running at localhost 3000. Whoa, look at that. Alrighty. So now, posted at date. I think what we want to do with posted at date is allow it to be configurable from this front end here, even though, because we could have it default to publishing, to adding it to Markdown files based on today's date. But I think we want to be able to edit it. Oh, what I was just mentioning though, is that we can actually already do this. So let's go ahead and try this out, see if it'll work. We'll say, post on a random Wednesday. Go ahead and put a front matter up here. Oh, look, no? Okay. It's just doesn't like that character spacing. It's weird. It is 3 characters, even though it doesn't look like 3 characters. It is 3 characters. And so we'll have posted at, and the posted at will be 2022-05-25. That's today. And come down here and say progress today on Mumbler. Sorting posts by posted at is working using YAML frontmatter. This post was posted using it, something like that. So let's hit publish. Console. Yep, DNS link updated. So now if we go over to posts, should see it in here. We do. That also means that the posts directory has a different SID. So in order to actually see it online, yeah, this is not an efficient process. We're going to have to, another thing we need to explore is how do I trigger a build of the new site whenever the files change. All right, so let's open this back up. Well, I think it's already open. Go to main TS, delete the, place it with a new SID. Let's see, Mumbler Netlify app has the new stuff up there. Wonderful. And then let's run. Let's check in. Updated files. Let's see if this works. So this is pretty bold here. We're just gonna, in just a second, hopefully mumbler.netlify.app will have a new post at the top that's got the appropriate date on it. So in this case, we didn't do anything fancy here at all. We just said, hey, we'll manually write out the YAML front matter at the top. And for this little blogging tool, that's probably fine. As we give other people the ability to use something like this, or to use this, probably want to make this a little bit more like part of the UI. And we could do that. We could have it like a series of things at the top that you parse through. But most of all, I'm curious whether this actually works or not in this gimpy way of doing things. My goal really is to get this thing up and running as something I can use like throughout the week, because I know that as I use it, I will get irritated with the problems that it has, and I will spend the time to fix them. And so getting to a workable system for me is really important. Hey, there we go. Whoa. Interesting. There's a couple of interesting things going on here. I am so confused how this is happening. Okay, so there's a couple interesting things going on here. One, we were off by one character on the slice of the front matter, so we lost our the P. Like there should be a new line here, and we lost that, which is funny. And then I wonder if we lost the other ones too. I don't know. Anyway, so we're off by one. Yay, off by one errors. We can go fix that. But here's the weird thing is that this format of a posted at date resulted in this crazy Wednesday, May 25th, 2022 date that's formatted differently than these, and I have no idea why. So let's go look at Fission Drive real quick and look at our other posts and see if yeah, posted at is 2025. That's this one. Oh, that's wild, y'all. Oh, when I wrap those things in strings, but man, JavaScript's weird. So there, apparently this post date to locale string oh, Weird. So yeah, this is where typing would help. I should probably say that posted at should be a date. And it looks like maybe frontmatter is automatically parsing it as a date. So these were actually never dates to begin with. These were just strings. And because I didn't type them, this is the whole point of TypeScript. I'm like not typing anything in my TypeScript file. Probably not great. You get that weird thing. I'm trying to remember how he formatted his dates. Yeah, those are not. So we'll want to change our formatting structure here. So that it can look nicer. I think we must have run this on a string and then gotten back something silly. So let's see, we'll do a, how do we want to do this? But wait, I'm still confused. How would quotes around it be different than not quotes around it? A date, not like, very confused right now. Okay, so let's go ahead and fix the off by one error. Do that. And I should have caught that, honestly. Fix off by one. So frontmatter must be doing some typing when it's parsing the YAML. Frontmatter. And it must interpret a date as a date, which is just bizarre. Title, description, body begin. Extracted YAML attributes. By default, FM uses YS YAML's safe load. YS YAML must be doing some parsing. Is that YS YAML or JS YAML? Is YS YAML even a thing? Answer, no, 'tis not a thing. And this must be using JS YAML. Let's go look at the package JSON. Using JS YAML, not YS YAML. YS YAML, not thing. All right, JS YAML is the thing that this is using. So let's go down the rabbit hole of dependencies here. YAML parser. Parse string as single YAML document. Ah, here we go. Supported YAML types. Timestamp. Date. But again, like, how the heck would it know it's a date? I guess the way it would know is that it's not. Got me, y'all. Got me. This is why I like YAML's terrible. So let's see. Here's an example. Construct timestamp YAML. That right there gives you a timestamp. Wild. Okay, so what's happening then is frontmatter parser parses the YAML using JS YAML. JS YAML, when it sees a date without strings around it, sorry, without quotes around it, with quotes around it, it interprets it as a string, which shouldn't be surprising to me. I don't even know why I put the quotes around it to begin with. Anyway, so without quotes around it, it interprets that year, month, date format as a date, and then appropriately returns a date type to our JavaScript here. And so when we call, all right, we're almost done. We are going to take a break here in just a sec. When we call toLocale string, we get a date type formatted appropriately. And before, all this toLocale string stuff was just getting ignored because toLocale string is a method on the string library as well. It just doesn't know what to do with this weekday whatever formatting hash that I was passing, so it just ignored it and dropped it on the floor, which gave us the illusion that this was actually a properly formatted date using that toLocale string, but that is the actual proper formatted date. Wow, lots of weirdness. Well, good news is we caught and fixed our off by one error. I just refreshed the page. You might have seen the P appear right there. We're going to take one more 5-minute break. When we get back, we will fix the problems that we just had created for ourselves with the date thing. We'll make this format appropriately. We'll remove the other date weirdness, and we can go ahead and see about getting this deployed before end of day, which is pretty fun. All right, be back in 5 minutes. See y'all soon. All right, break is almost up. 5-10 seconds left here. We're gonna go ahead and jump back in and fix one problem, and then go ahead and deploy Mumbler, and we'll have our little thing working. So let's come over here, start tomato. Last 25-minute work timer here before this session is over. Whew, okay. So again, let's fix this problem with the date that we ran into here. Let's see. Close that. Bring up VS Code. Is this the generator? It is the generator. Alrighty. So I think we want to continue handling dates the way we're in the generator, the way we were planning on the way we're handling them right here. So instead of changing anything there, let's change our oops. I just want to bring this up, and I think it's date.new that gives you a date. Let me make this bigger. How about date.parse? D, great. D.toLocale string. So now we're gonna mess with that one line till we get exactly what we want. ToLocale string. Oops. All right. What do you mean? There we go. Zoinks. That's weird. 1,588,204,80,100,000,000. I don't think that's right. No, I don't think so. 1,588, what the heck? Yes, that is our date object. How about DA equals new date 0530. How about this? There we go. Alrighty. And now, haha, we are close. Okay, so if we wanted to get year, month, short. No, I want numeric year as well. Hey, there we go. That's getting close. And then can I date, format, JavaScript, toLocale, string. So now I just want to flip these. I like this format. I just want the year at the beginning. And so do they have some examples here? ENGB. British English uses day, month, year, and 24-hour time without AM, PM. How about give me... I could do ENGB. I don't really want to rely on that, though. I want... Here we go. Okay, options. Here we go. Does it give me an exhaustive list of options here? I just want to be able to... toLocale date string. Dates. Here we go. International.datetime format. Okay, probably much faster to just do this. JavaScript date format YYY MMDD. Let me do it quickly. No. No. Surely there's a better way to do it than this. I could write my own format function to do this. Good grief, there are entire articles on this. Oh, JavaScript, you kind of drive me crazy. Kind of drive me crazy. Yeah, that just sucks. To format a JavaScript date into format, we can extract the date parts and put them together ourselves. Man, these are the times where I really miss active support from Rails days. It looks like that might be the actual answer. You know what? To avoid messing around with this any further, I'm going to go with this is good enough. I wonder what, I'm just curious what switching the locale string to ENGB would do. Yeah, that's even more awkward, at least to me. Leading with the date than the year. Or than the date than the month and the year. All right, well, we're just going to do it that way. Numeric, numeric, numeric. Let's see, let's make that change really fast. And then one day when I want to mess around with this, I will write my own format date function. But that's not the way I want to spend my time right now. Year, month, day. That should do it. So let's checking in on main here. Format date appropriately. And again, this is a good example of why I need that loop of starting up IPFS to be faster. If I could do a faster sort of integration test right now, I wouldn't just check in on main. I would actually run this locally and see it output the appropriate thing and then check in. But it's just so slow to wait for IPFS to start up that I'm going to let it run on Netlify and see how things go. All right, then the other thing we wanted to do while that's running is host the front end somewhere. So let's do that. Open Netlify. No, not sign up. Doggone it. I'm already signed up, y'all. Here we are. Add a new site. Import an existing project from GitHub. Mumbler. And we'll call this. All right, this thing is Vite, so might be run build. That might be the right thing to do. Let me see, TSC Vite build. Yeah, that seems right. We'll go with that. Publish directory is dist, sure. Base directory, I don't know if that really matters. The directory where Netlify installs dependency and runs your build command. Yeah, so that it should default to the right place. The main thing. I already have okay, cool. I was going to say I already have something called Mumbler, so hopefully it won't name it Mumbler. Interesting. I kind of feel like I should not use Mumbler as the name. I know I'm using it for the actual, yeah, doesn't really matter that much. Let's go into the site overview. Ooh, site deploy failed right away. What's going on there? Vite esbuild transpile. Top level await is not available in the configured target environment. Well, that's going to be a problem with tsconfig. Faux show. Well, let's go over here. So it's running in, when I run Vite. Wait, okay, this is Mumbler generator. Close that. This is Mumbler. Yeah. So Vite's weren't working. Let's do an npm run build then. Let's see if that works. Transforming. No, it does not. Okay. So interesting. I thought the whole claim of Vite was that the preview of your site and the build of your site was exactly the same thing. If I remember reading the marketing text, that was what I was promised. Where is my jetpack? Ugh. Ugh. All right. I've been standing up for almost 2 hours. Time to take a seat. So let's see here. What in the world? ES build node modules. So TS config over here. I don't know that I'm actually specifying. I am specifying a not module and a target. Top level await is not available in the configured target environment. Chrome 87. Wow. Well, let's see if we can find a quick fix for this. Top level await is not available. This is not a Vite issue. Top level await is not figured in the default configured environment. Vite.config.ts build target to ES next. So apparently Vite config is a thing. Let's go create config.ts and copy that and rerun the build. See if that happens. Nope. Those who come searching, if you want to support normal browsers without setting, Vite plugin top level await. Really? Because that didn't work. Did I name the file correctly? Vite config ts. So that didn't work for me. So we're going to try adding a plugin that supports top level await. Why does life have to be so awful in JavaScript land? I just want to like be able to use language features wherever I need them. Like, is that asking too much? Apparently it is. All right, here we go. So now we have that npm run build. Top level await should now be supported if this magical package just does it for me. What all is in this package? Package JSON. Holy smokes. Oh, that's dev dependencies. SWC core? What the heck is that? Zoinks. Put this plugin. Oh, I do have to put it in the plugin list too. This is not going to work. Same failure. Okay, that's fine. Where is the plugin list? It is in, not here. What? Put this plugin in your plugin list. At most, you don't need to carry the order, but there are any plugins. There's a little chance. So I think the plugin list is in byteconfig.ts as well. But let me come over here and find out. I wonder if the problem was that I made it byteconfig ts instead of js. That might have been the reason it failed. Let me refresh. All right, byte config JS and npm run build. I know I haven't added it to the plugins list yet, but let's see if it successfully runs. I would think it could be TypeScript since whatever. Who knows? Who knows? All right. So that was not the answer. Let me rename this to TS because why not, I guess. And then we'll add a oh, it's because I'm not exporting appropriately. I think. I don't want conditional config. I don't want. All right, annoyed. Config file. Just give me an example one as fast as possible. Okay, apparently export default that. Why would that be blowing up? Right. So I probably just didn't specify it properly. How about now? Whoop, npm run build. Come on, come on. Hopefully this will work. We can get this deployed. Oh, yeah. Looks good. Let's go rerun dev. Make sure we didn't break dev in the process. Looks like we did not break dev in the process. Wonderful. Wonderful. Okay. So git add byte config. That means that we also don't need config ts. Set target appropriately and then push that up. So hopefully that'll cause things to appropriately deploy. Git diff rm yarn lock. I thought I had ignored tool versions, but apparently not. Tool versions. Git add git ignore while this thing is running. And finally, oh, git rm tool versions. Okay, cool. I have a clean branch here on main. Let's come over here and figure out if we had a successful deploy yet. Looks like it. Here we go. Oh. Allow Mumbler to ask the... Yes. Cool. We're like logged in and stuff. Huh. All right, so now we have this deployed. Let's go ahead and change the deploy, the actual name here. Does not like this size. There we go. This is site name. There we go. Change site name. Okay. Let's just call this Mumbler. Man, I really want that name. All right. I'm gonna go change the other one to like my Mumbler or something like that, Jess's Mumbler or something. This, whoops, back. Site settings, change site name. Mumbler Jess. .netlify.app, and this one can be Mumbler. .netlify.app. Awesome. So now Mumbler is this. Mumbler Jess has my stuff. Awesome. Which is not working because I haven't updated those strings. We need to do that. Let's see, public posts. And honestly, I'm going to get rid of all these anyway, because this is bogus testing stuff. I'm super curious whether my sorting algorithm is going to work appropriately now. Whoops, click save here. Save. And let's bring this one back. We'll leave that there, posted at 2022-01. Okay, save that. All right, now let's update the SID for Mumbler generator. Man, I can't wait till we can make that problem go away. It'll be really nice. Copy the SID. Mumbler generators over here. Great. Push that up, and I think that will run pretty quickly. I'm glad that starting the IPFS node and running that IPFS node in Netlify doesn't cause things to fail, because the IPFS node is pretty resource intensive, and the Netlify build step is a... I've actually had I've had Gatsby fail as a static site generator in the Netlify build step because it was using too many resources. So I'm glad that that is not causing a failure right now. Woo! Okay, we are looking like we're in good shape here, where we've made some good progress. This thing is pretty dang close to usable here. Oh, interesting. Aha. I need to get, so yeah, there's lots of little changes that we could make to this to make it nicer in terms of like log in, moving log out down here. But I think we're in a good spot. Let's see, refresh here and see if things have updated yet. They have not yet. Let's go over to Mumbler Jess. Okay, building right now. Starting IPFS to get started. That's awesome. I wonder if they don't like this, the fact that I'm running IPFS during their build step. I mean, it definitely it stops it, so it's not like it like continues to use those resources, but that is interesting. All right, finish up, finish up, finish up. We have 1 minute left in our final Pomodoro this morning. Woo! I'm ready to be done here with this thing. Come on. The other thing is, where do I have my... I wonder how I have DNS set up for my other site. I mean, for my jessmart.in domain settings. Netlify DNS. So I could add a domain alias, I think, for Mumbler Jess. Add custom domain. Notes.jessmart.in. Nope. I already have the custom domain. branch subdomains. Interesting. All right, so I'll have to look and see how I do that. Still waiting here. All right, our final Pomodoro has finished. I'm gonna hope this will be done here in just a second. Okay. So that is our last Pomodoro. We have now worked for 2 hours on Mumbler today, made a lot of progress. We started out by cleaning up some of the code in our generator, our static site generator. We filtered out the metadata that's at the top of our Markdown files and don't show that. We also have like our formatting the dates appropriately. We hit the timestamps. So like the blog static site generator, the blog that's generated actually looks like a blog. It doesn't have pagination, it doesn't have a whole lot of other like features that you would want for a blog right now. That's okay. We can like look at adding those over the next few weeks. And then we switched back over to Mumbler. We confirmed that we can actually use Mumbler to manually write out the metadata for the for that file, and yeah, that works fine. So this is it's pretty exciting. We've got a set of two decentralized blog, a writer and a reader that actually work correctly. I've got a ton of questions that I'm going to follow up on with some colleagues around IPFS, around TypeScript, around a whole handful of things over the course of this week. But we actually accomplished our goal, so that you can experience the same joy that I experience when I accomplish things. I'm going to run over here and we're going to click this, check that off together. We added the ability to write, well, technically it already existed, so we didn't do anything fancy. But that's it. Thanks for joining me for Coding with Jess, and I'll see you again next week.